Unitree just dropped a video of their humanoid robot doing flying kicks and destroying sandbags. Everyone is calling it superhuman. But there is one massive detail they are not mentioning. A human wearing an Apple Vision Pro might be controlling every single move. Here is what's really going on. Alright, so let's start with what Unitree actually showed, because the footage is genuinely wild. The H2 humanoid stands about 180 meters tall, roughly 5 feet 11 inches, and weighs 70 kilograms, which is around 154 pounds. It comes loaded with 31 degrees of freedom, meaning 31 different joints that can move on their own. Each joint can deliver up to 360 Newton meters of torque, which is the rotational force that lets it punch hard, jump high, and land without falling apart. And the computing setup runs on an Intel Core i5 processor for basic operations, with the option to add an Intel Core i7 for advanced deployment work. For serious AI tasks, you can equip it with an NVIDIA Jetson AGX Thor module delivering 2070 TOPS. That's trillion operations per second of AI processing power. So on paper, this thing looks incredible. The demo video shows the H2 doing moves that honestly look like they came straight out of a martial arts movie. Flying kicks, where the robot launches itself into the air and extends both legs. Backflips that land clean without stumbling. Rapid punches into a sandbox that actually make the bag swing violently. At one point, the robot even does a spinning kick that would make a taekwondo instructor nod in approval. And the movements look smooth, not jerky or robotic. The weight shifts feel natural. The balance recovery after each move happens fast. If you didn't know better, you would think this robot trained at a dojo for years. And then there is the price. Unitree is positioning the H2 at $29,900, which sounds like a lot until you compare it with competitors. Boston Dynamics just announced their production-ready Atlas is entering the market with an estimated price tag near $420,000. Figures Humanoid has early deployment estimates ranging from $30,000 to $150,000, though their newer Figure 03 model targets around $20,000 at high production volumes. Tesla's Optimus is projected to cost around $20,000 to $30,000 eventually, but it's not shipping yet and still struggles with actual independence. So Unitree is undercutting almost everyone while showing off capabilities that look top tier. That's why people got so hyped so fast. But before you get too impressed, let me show you something. Shortly after the H2 combat demo went viral, another video started making the rounds online. This one involved a Unitree G1 robot, the H2's smaller sibling, during a Christmas Day training session. A human operator wearing a motion capture suit was demonstrating martial arts moves, and the G1 was mirroring his movements with a slight delay. During one sequence, the operator threw a kick, but because both he and the robot were facing the same direction and the system had a timing delay, the G1's leg swung up and kicked up the operator. The operator collapsed in pain, but the robot, still in mirror mode, copied that posture too, bending over as if it had also been hit. The video went viral across X, Reddit, and Chinese social media, with Elon Musk even responding with a laughing emoji. Now, this was the G1, not the H2 we are talking about today, but both use the same teleoperation system. And this incident revealed what Unitree hasn't been saying out loud. These robots aren't thinking for themselves in these demos. This system is called teleoperation, and it's been around for decades in industrial robotics. The idea is simple. A human operator controls the robot from a distance using motion capture, VR headsets, or specialized controllers. The robot copies the movements as closely as its hardware allows. Apple Vision Pro makes this easier because it tracks hand positions, body angles, and head movement with high accuracy. So when the operator does a backflip motion in VR space, the robot attempts the same backflip in the real world. It's impressive engineering, but it's not the robot thinking for itself. Now, to be clear, Unitree hasn't openly stated that every single move in their demos is teleoperated, but they also haven't claimed the robot is fully independent in these scenarios. And the gap is doing a lot of heavy lifting in how people see the H2. Because when you watch a robot do a flying kick, your brain assumes the robot decided to do that kick, planned the motion, calculated the balance, and pulled it off all on its own. But if a human is controlling it, then the robot is just really good hardware following commands. That's still impressive, but it completely changes what these demos actually prove. Here is why full independence is so hard. Let's say you want the robot to punch a sandbag. For a human operator using teleoperation, that's easy. You see the sandbag, you move your arm forward, the robot copies, done. But for an independent robot, the process is insane. First, it needs to know that the object in front of it is a sandbag and not a person or a wall. Then it needs to figure out the exact distance to the sandbag. Then it needs to plan punching motion that doesn't throw it off balance. Then it needs to predict how the sandbag will swing after impact and adjust its stance so it doesn't fall over. Then it needs to do all of that in real time while dealing with delays in sensor data and motor response. And if anything goes wrong, it needs to recover without crashing to the ground. That's why Boston Dynamics spent years just getting Atlas to walk up stairs reliably. The real world is full of chaos that destroys robots. So when Unitree shows the H2 doing martial arts, the big question is how much of that is pre-programmed move, how much is teleoperation, and how much is actual AI making decisions. And based on what we are seeing right now, it looks like teleoperation plays a much bigger role than the marketing suggests. Which brings up another question. Why is every robotics company suddenly obsessed with making their robots do combat moves? Unitree isn't alone here. Boston Dynamics has been showing off Atlas doing park hour for years. Engine AI recently posted videos of their humanoid doing high kicks and quick footwork. Even Tesla's Optimus did some basic martial arts poses during their reveal event. And people online keep asking the same thing. Why martial arts? Why not something useful like folding laundry or helping elderly people get out of bed? If we are trying to build robots for everyday life, why are we teaching them to fight? The answer is actually pretty practical, even if it doesn't sound like it at first. Martial arts moves test almost every capability a humanoid robot needs, like balance, because you cannot kick without standing on one leg. Speed, because punches and kicks happen fast. Coordination, because your upper and lower body have to work together. Force control, because you need to hit hard without breaking your own joints. And recovering, because if you mess up a bit, you need to catch yourself before you fall. Think about it this way. If a robot can land a backflip, that means its sensors can track orientation mid-air. Its motors can adjust in milliseconds, and its control system can handle unexpected forces. Those same capabilities are what you would need to catch someone who is falling, or navigate slippery stairs, or recover when a toddler crashes into the robot. The martial arts aren't the goal, they're proof the basics work. But here is the thing. Moves in a controlled space are way easier than actual real-world work. A backflip is hard, but it's also predictable. The robot knows exactly what it's supposed to do, when to jump, how to rotate, where to land. But folding laundry? That's chaos. Every sword is a different size, fabric, and shape. The cloth moves in varied ways when you touch it. You need to spot wrinkles, float lines, and orientations. You need gentle force control so you don't rip the fabric. And you need to adapt constantly because no two folds are even the same. Here is a practical example. Boston Dynamics Atlas can do parkour, but when they tried to make it work with objects, they had to spend years just to teaching it to reliably pick up a box without crossing it or dropping it. A box, not a shirt, not a plate, just a rigid cardboard box. That's how hard real-world work is. That's why even the most advanced robots still struggle with basic household tasks. The real world doesn't follow a script. Unitree actually showed the H2 in a competition setting recently. The World Humanoid Robot Games held in Beijing in August 2025. This is an actual event where humanoid robots compete in various challenges, and it gives a better sense of what these machines can do outside of polished demo videos. In that competition, Unitree's H1 model, the H2's predecessor, dominated track and field events, winning gold medals in the 400-meter race, 1,500-meter race, 100-meter hurdles, and the 4x100-meter relay. But in the footage from the competition, you could see robots struggling with balance during rapid direction changes, occasionally falling over during soccer matches, and needing repairs mid-event. These weren't the flawless superhuman machines from the viral videos. They were very capable robots that still have clear limits. And that competition context matters because it shows where the industry actually is right now. These robots can do impressive things in specific scenarios, especially when the environment is controlled and the tasks are well defined. But drop them into a random home with cluttered floors, stairs with different heights, furniture in the way, and unpredictable objects, and they fall apart fast. That's the gap between demo magic and real world usefulness. There is also a bigger competitive story happening here. At CES 2026, we just opened in Las Vegas on January 6. There are 38 different companies showing off humanoid robots, and 21 of them are Chinese companies. That's more than half. China is flooding the humanoid market with startups, research labs, and established tech giants all pushing out robots at aggressive price points. Unitree is part of that wave, and so is Agibot, Galvot, Engineer, and several others. Meanwhile, the US has Boston Dynamics, Figure, Tesla, and a handful of smaller players. The race is heating up fast, and China is betting big on mass production and competitive pricing. Unitree's $29,900 price tag is a direct challenge to that market. They're saying you don't need to spend hundreds of thousands or wait for Tesla to scale up production. You can buy a capable humanoid right now for the price of a mid-level car. And even if the H2 isn't fully independent yet, the hardware is real, the performance is strong, and the price is hard to ignore. That's why people are paying attention. But let's be honest about the timeline here. Full independence for useful home tasks is still years away, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, depending on how fast it improves. The robots we're seeing now are impressive demonstrations of what's possible, but they are not ready to replace human caregivers, cleaners, or assistants. They can do specific tasks in controlled settings, and they can be teleoperated to do more complex things. But they cannot yet walk into your house, figure out what needs to be done, and do it without constant human guidance. So is the Unitree H2 superhuman? Yeah. If by superhuman you mean really expensive hardware doing choreographed moves that a human is probably controlling. But superhuman are actually helping you? Not even close. The hardware is there. The AI still catching up. And until these companies get honest about what's teleoperation and what's independent, we are going to keep seeing viral videos that look way more impressive than the reality. But hey, at least we are getting closer. 5 years ago, these robots couldn't walk. Now they are doing backflips. Even if they need a human puppeteer to pull it off, that's progress. Just not the kind of marketing wants you to think about. The real question now is how fast these companies can close the gap between demo magic and real world utility. Because the world doesn't need robots that can do flying kicks. The world needs robots that can help an elderly person stand up safely, or carry grocery upstairs, or clean up after a spin. And those tasks are boring as they sound, and way harder than martial arts. But once robotics companies crack that problem, once they build robots that can handle the unpredictable chaos of everyday life, that's when things really change. Alright, that's where we will wrap it up. One thing I'm curious about now is whether Unitree will be more transparent about how much teleoperation is involved in future demos, or if they will keep reading the gap between perception and reality for marketing. Drop your thoughts below, make sure you are subscribed, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.